Welcome to the special of the 6 most important news of 2020, presented by Isabel Chica and who speaks to you, Sarita Jaramillo. Okay, our first news of this talk is SpaceX rocket launch. SpaceX is an American aerospace manufacturing and space transportation services company located in California. This company made a very important advance in May 30 because they launched a rocket into the space, and it was the first rocket launched by a private company. This event opened the door for the sales of commercial flights in the future. A good question is, was the SpaceX shuttle launch a scientific or a commercial breakthrough? Next, a video expanding more on this news.
3, 2, 1, 0. Ignition. Liftoff of the Falcon 9 and Crew Dragon. Go NASA. Go SpaceX. Godspeed. Spot and dog.
Vehicle pitching down range. 1 Alpha. Copy. 1 Alpha. Stage 1 proposal.
Falcon 9 first stage has successfully landed.
And there you can see on your screen, Falcon 9 has landed. This is the first Falcon 9 to carry humans to orbit, so very exciting for us.
Our second news is a man who died from police abuse in the United States. A black man in his 40s died in May 2020 in Minneapolis after being suffocated by a police officer. The victim had no weapons, was handcuffed and lying face down on the ground, and the officer held his knee against his neck for about 7 minutes. The police action was recorded in a video by a witness. The tragedy was investigated by the FBI and the authorities in Minneapolis. A solution for this event was the dismissal of the 4 agents who participated in the arrest. Is Black Lives Matter the purpose of fighting police brutality in the United States, or is just carrying out vandalism and riots to affect the election in this country?
George Floyd repeatedly told the officers that he could not breathe after an officer knelt on his neck.
The family of George Floyd held a memorial in his memory.
My brother's gone, but the Floyd name still lives on.
George Floyd, you are gone but not forgotten. Because of you, we've come together.
This is for George Floyd.
It's so late to be angry, but we are going to take our anger and our indignation and turn it into energy. George Floyd! George Floyd! Justice! Justice!
To march. To dance. To kneel. To be quiet. We're saying your name. We're saying their names.
Say her name! Say her name!
We're being loud.
Hands up! Don't shoot! Hands up! Don't shoot!
We're being brave. We're laughing. We're crying. We're getting engaged. We're getting married. We're changing the world.
We soldiers, man. Let's stop hurting each other and let's get it right, man. Today is the day we're gonna stand up for our community, man. If we could do this, we could do more. We just gotta continue on pushing and don't give up.
He did what?
Daddy changed the world.
Daddy changed the world.
The next notice is killer hornets. This news happened at the end of 2019 on the east coast of the United States, but it was a great concern in May when Canada issued a warning. What happened was that a gigant hornet from Japan came to this region threatening the honeybees that are ones to help pollination of different plants. It is believed that this insect came to the United States aboard a ship from East Asia. To solve this problem, an attempt is being made to eradicate this insect to prevent its settlement in the state of Washington. Should everything possible be done to exterminate these killer bees, or should nature be preserved?
A massacre in the honeycombs.
There were dead bees all over the front of the hive, all over the bottom board, and they all had all been chopped to bits. They were decapitated.
Beekeeper Ted McFall says he went to check on a hive one morning in November and found an entire colony destroyed. 60,000 honeybees torn apart in a savage attack. About a month later, the alleged attacker was revealed. This Asian giant hornet found in Blaine, Washington, just a couple miles from McFall's property.
And all it takes is a couple dozen of the Asian giant hornets to show up and start lopping off heads.
Dubbed the murder hornet for its powerful sting and the way it decapitates its prey, this is the first time the world's largest hornet has been seen in the U.S. In its native Asia, Vespa mandarinia is notorious. Seen on programs like Netflix's 72 Dangerous Animals. Washington State entomologist Chris Looney says the clock is ticking.
The goal is to eradicate it now while the population is presumably small.
If he and his colleagues can't wipe out the invaders this summer, they're likely to multiply and spread across the country with potentially disastrous consequences. They're counting on the public to help trap and track hornets back to their nests.
They have a 1-year life cycle, and so every year we can keep a nest from reproducing, then we win.
The hornets also pose a threat to humans. Adventurer and YouTube personality Coyote Peterson tracked one down in Japan to demonstrate how painful their sting can be.
Searing pain!
A few dozen stings can be fatal. Asian giant hornets kill around 30 to 50 people a year, and while Japanese bees have evolved to create self-defense systems, North American bees have no idea how to fight an alien predator like this. Bee Lives Matter experts say not just for honey, but the entire food system.
The pollination that honeybees do for our food supply cannot be understated. I mean, there's so many fruits and vegetables that are dependent on honeybees.
In other words, a threat to the bee is a threat to you and me. For Today, Joe Fryer, NBC News, Los Angeles.
Hi, my name is Isabel, and I'm gonna continue with the news for today. So let's begin with the coronavirus. The coronavirus is an infection disease that registered the first case in Wuhan, China. It is believed that the virus has zoonotic origins because the genetic of the virus is so similar to the bat's coronavirus. Most people infected with the virus will experience mild to moderate respiratory illness, but they will be recovered with no special treatment. However, older people or sick people will experience some problems to recover, and it could become a serious illness. The official data of the World Health Organization indicates that there are countries with no presence of the virus, and between them, North Korea. I think this is curious, but I don't know. So I'm gonna let you in an expert to show some recommendations to take care of ourselves with the coronavirus.
The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, CDC, the expert body on coronavirus, has released guidance for general public and healthcare professionals on the symptoms of the virus. A person could be at risk if they have any or all of the following: fever and symptoms of lower respiratory illness, such as coughing or difficulty breathing, after traveling to Wuhan or having close contact with someone who was ill and is now under investigation for the virus in the past 2 weeks. Fever or symptoms of lower respiratory illness after having close contact in the past 2 weeks with someone who's been confirmed to have the virus. The CDC defined close contact as being within about 6 feet, 1.8 meters, or within the room or care area of a person with the coronavirus for a prolonged period without appropriate protective clothing, or having direct contact with the infectious secretions of a person with the virus without protective clothing. Coronaviruses are particularly dangerous for people who have weaker immune systems, like young children and older adults. To protect yourself from the virus, try to avoid contact with people who display symptoms similar to those of pneumonia or the common cold, like coughing or a runny nose. Don't touch your eyes, nose, or mouth with unwashed hands. Wash your hands frequently with soap and water and scrub for at least 20 seconds. Use alcohol-based hand sanitizer when possible. Avoid animals and animal markets. The only current treatment for coronavirus being offered is supportive in nature. If you notice any of these symptoms and conditions, please contact your nearest professional healthcare setup. Help spread this information to everyone.
So let's continue with the explosion in Beirut, Lebanon on 4 August. The explosion happened due to an incorrect storage of nitrate ammonium. It left more than 200 deaths, a lot of homeless people and injured people. Also, it severely damaged the health infrastructure and the medical supplies. The World Health Organization is working with people to help them. And the looking for people is still active because there are still disappeared persons. And to finish the news for today, we're going to talk about the Anonymous group. In May 2020, the George Floyd death triggered the return of the Anonymous group. They are cyber activist groups that are fighting for the human rights and the African American rights. They are looking to reveal the information of the biggest governments and companies in the world that in any moment affect the society in general. The group published a video in social media talking about the situation, so let me show you the video. I hope you like it.
And activists have once again taken to protest, but this time after the death of George Floyd due to police brutality. An online collective group by the name Anonymous has surged once again, as protests are spreading across states and turning violent across the United States. The hacktivist group, as it is called, with no single leadership or face, goes by its tagline, "We are Legion." They are supposed to be a group of individuals from different fraternities and walks of life and have no central command. This collective claims to have no single or one-pointed agenda. Once born in the chat boxes of the internet, today, this group's presence is all across the internet.
Greetings, citizens of the United States. This is a message from Anonymous to the Minneapolis Police Department. Police brutality and murder is a widespread problem in the United States, which has undoubtedly infected nearly every jurisdiction in the country, but the Minneapolis Police Department is among the worst and has a horrific track record of violence and corruption.
The hacktivists say that they are targeting people who claim that they have been misusing power. The group carries out protests by hacking websites, forcing them with data to increase traffic and bring the website down, and also mint data from the government websites. The members use the symbol, a Guy Fawkes mask, made famous by Alan Moore's graphic novel V for Vendetta, and has been accusing the White House administration of being anti-black and largely corrupt. This collective has carried out several low-skill but effective online hacking modes as a protest. The collective also came into limelight after a video posted on Facebook claiming to have brought down the Minneapolis Police Department website. The video released by Anonymous Collective has also warned Minneapolis police that it would expose the corrupt system and crimes that have plagued the department. Following the video, social media accounts of Anonymous Collective surged to 6.2 million followers.
Citizens of the United States.
And the police has claimed that several data of the police had been leaked. However, there has been no evidence against Anonymous till now.
Which has undoubtedly infected nearly every jurisdiction in the country, but the Minneapolis Police Department is among the worst and has a horrific track record of violence and corruption. This week's brutal killing of George Floyd, which has sparked protests and national outrage, is merely the tip of the iceberg in a long list of high-profile cases of wrongful death at the hands of officers in your state. In fact, in the past 2 decades, 193 people have been killed by police in Minnesota.